Well, hello everyone. This is Ada, and I'm coming to say that this has been one hell of a month that just passed, and this month isn't getting any better, it seems. My grandson, yesterday on the 3rd of this month, had to have a back surgery, which they had to go into his spine, and he had a disc that had, I don't know, had flattened out or done something. Anyways, he's had a severe back surgery, and it lasted about 2.5 to 3 hours yesterday, and that was a strain. And then on top of that, they said that he would be, well, through his surgery, and then after they come out and they said that his surgery went okay, except that he had such a narrow thing in his throat that they scraped it and it was bleeding, and so therefore they was wanting to keep him overnight, and they was going to put him in a room when he woke up. They wasn't going to send him home because they was going to keep him overnight, because they said if it started bleeding or his throat started swelling after he was home, it would be a disaster effect. So we left him there, and we expected to find him in a room. And so when we got back, they said he was in 4116 at the hospital up on the 4th floor. Well, we didn't know what the 4th floor was. And my daughter and I went up there. And when we got there, we walked in, and behold, it was the ICU. Oh, my daughter and I have been through so much. And I don't guess I have to say strong for the family, because I turned around and looked at my daughter, and she looked like she was going to go down on the floor, and I grabbed a hold of her. Such as I am, I can't hold very much, but I grabbed a hold of her, wrapped my arms around her, and says, "Oh, Gloria, 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 everything's going to be all right." Because it was ICU. Well, what would you think if they said that, you know, everything went fine, but there was bleeding in his throat, but they got it stopped, and they was going to keep him overnight just for observation, and they put him in a room, and then you go to find out that he's in ICU. Oh, Lord, my whole heart just went flop. Oh, golly. Well, we come find out, I don't know why they put him in ICU, I guess to be looked after, but when we got there, he was laying there just fine. And after being there, he was just fine. So, anyway, I talked with him this morning, and he's getting to come home today, and his better half is there with him, and she come in after she takes, she's making a beautician. And when she got in last night, she went to the hospital, and they did let her spend the night there in the ICU room. And they had this chair that they unfolded and made a bed for her. And so, anyway, he said he was going to get to come home today. Everything was going just fine, and he seemed in very, very good spirits. He said that if he laid just a certain way, he had no pain. But when he tried to raise up, or do a certain, or twist or turn with his leg like they told, he said, "Man, it hits me good in the back." I'm afraid that they have got him kind of with medication that is even, you know, there that is helping him. But that was going on, and then we had more problems on the day before, on the 2nd. We had to go all the way down because this man had gone into my son's house, and he's got this large safe, and my other son is staying there, but he told my son that he had talked everything over with us, and that he was supposed to take the safe to his house for safekeeping. Well, we were trying to get the combination to the safe because it's a large safe, and my daughter was working with a safe company and had to. And the safe was registered in my son's Lester's name, and so we had to send a death certificate to even get the combination from the company, but they sent it, and it worked just fine. But we had to go down to retrieve the safe and bring it back to home again. And it's just all kinds of things like that going on. There was no problem. When we got there, the man was very happy to, let us have her safe, but why did he ever go and take it? We don't know in the first place. So that was upsetting. And then the post office told us that we had to have a copy of the death certificate to get his mail that's in the mailbox, and it's paid up for another month or so, his mailbox, and I'm the one that paid it for my son. That's the ridiculous thing about it. And so anyway, we went, and I took a death certificate in there at the post office, and she says, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, that's not what we need whatsoever. We need a paper saying that you're allowed to get whatever your son had." I said, "Well, we're his parents. He isn't married. And he has no children. He has no wife or anything. So who would be the beneficiary of his estate except for his mom and dad? He had no will left." "Well, I'm sorry, ma'am. Just the post office here is very, very deal. We got to keep it locked up and everything until we get a paper saying, or we have to send all the mail back. But you got to the end of the month, and then we don't close it out until another 15 days. And so you got 6 weeks to get this." And I says, "Well, I can't afford to go and pay no $200, $250, $300 to a lawyer to get a paper saying that I'm his mom. When well," she says, "I know you're his mother, because we spoke many a time on the phone." And yes, I do. And I says, "I'm the one that paid the post. I know, I spoke with you, and you said that you were sending the money to the postmaster here for that box of his. I know you paid for it, but I still have to go. It's in his name." Have you ever heard anything so ridiculous in your life? I have no idea what's in that box, and it can't be all that valuable. Probably just a bunch of advertisements. I have no idea. But they said when his box got full, they'd have to put it in another container, and that all the mail would be there. If we bring this, if we don't, well, then they're going to have to send it all back to the ones that sent it. Well, I'm his mother, and I'd just like to know if there is any important mail or just what's in that box. So there is another aggravation. Can you believe that? And she says, "I know you're his mother, and I know that you sent me the money for the box." I said, "Well, it looks like it would be my..." "No, your name wasn't on it. You just sent me money to pay for it. It's your son's box. And anybody else getting any mail in that box won't get their mail." Okay. Well, we rented our other son that lives down there another post office box there. And I asked her, I said, "Well, if my other son happens to be something, we're going to have son." He said, "No, because your husband's name is on that box along with your son's name." Oh, God. It's just some of these ridiculous things that just wants to make you stop. But we still got to go. And like I said, it's not over. I got to make an appointment with the cemetery where we're going to have put Lester, and find out just exactly the row number and the grave number and everything. And then we have to go and order his headstone and have that put there. But before we can get a headstone, we'll have to tell them where to put the headstone. So, and there's other things that I'd like to get done too, for them to do too. So anyway, and then after the headstone is put in place, then we will be putting my son in, have a graveside service. I'd like to have the headstone there when it happens. And we don't mind having Lester here in the house. And I say, "Good morning, son." I tell him good night every night. And I look up and I say, well, son, I'm wishing you all the best. And think of me and pray for me. I know he's in heaven, but y'all use all the prayers. So this has been a very, very stressful, ever since the 4th, when they called and said he'd had a heart attack in January. And then trying to get everything ready, and then having the celebration of life on the 22nd. Which I never seen so many friends in all my life. They say if you make 3 or 4 friends in your lifetime, you're a rich person. My son must have been a millionaire, because there was at least over 100, and they signed the book, over 100 friends. I'm not talking relatives or cousins or aunts or uncles or anything like that. I'm talking about friends. I'm not talking about us or the family. No, I'm talking about the people that came was just friends of his. I knew everybody liked him, and everybody, you know, and he helped everybody. Well, I'm going to close this right now. I'm just rattling on about nothing, and God bless every one of you. And may God keep you in His grace and care. I love you all. Bye.